And welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys, because it is time for El Clasico, because Barça will be travelling this weekend to Real Madrid in desperate need of a morale boost after what happened in the Champions League in midweek. And today we're going to be discussing exactly what this game means for Xavi and his players. We're going to be discussing the Gundogan Araujo situation and also what changes we may see in the starting lineup, along with my prediction. This is a big one for us, so let's do this. And I do want to start with some special super thanks shout out to you guys, to Angel, to Jordan, and to Sheesh Boom. Really appreciating the support right now, especially during these more tricky moments. I am very grateful indeed, because honestly guys, it has been a really tough week. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you there. It has been a really emotionally challenging week for all of us Barcelona fans, because obviously we had the PSG game, we had the way that it all unfolded, we had now the fallout from all of that, because in times when Barca lose, it's always magnified by the media, because they start to jump on things, they start to look further into things than maybe need to be, and certainly everything can unravel and get out of control very quickly. And also, guys, what we can't fail to acknowledge here is that, as so often happens, Barca's Champions League woes were only amplified by Real Madrid. I mean, of course they were, because just one day after our defeat to PSG, somehow, and I mean somehow, Real Madrid managed to get past Man City on penalties and advance to the semi-finals. I have no idea how they won that game, but they did. They find ways somehow, and the only positive really would be off the back of that there, that Real Madrid were forced all the way into extra time and then to penalties. They went the full distance in that game, and after already playing one day later than we did, they got so much less rest ahead of this game. So I would say here that if we are incapable of having a physical advantage over Real Madrid on Sunday, something is wrong. Something is very wrong indeed. We should be easily more fresh in this game. We should have the edge, and we've got to use that, because right now we don't have all that much. Emotionally, we're hurting, but let's at least use that physical advantage. Because when you are looking at the league table right now, this is where we stand. With 7 games to go, including this one, we are 8 points behind Real Madrid in the title race. And of course, if Barca were to beat Real Madrid here, they would reduce that gap to 5 points then, with 6 games to play. And remember as well that head-to-head, that could become a part of this race too, because Real Madrid won 2-1 in the reverse fixture. But if we were to better that result, we would then go top in the event that we were able to make up that 5-point gap. So this could prove to be a very important game here, make no mistake. And one thing that I would say as well, whether this is me just, trying to find some kind of positive right now, but given that Real Madrid had made it through in the Champions League, I just wonder if we were able to actually win this game and maybe try and win it well, is there any chance Real Madrid could lose focus on the league? Is there any chance there they could suddenly start to really look at the Champions League? We know that's the competition they love. We know they always want to win the Champions League. That's their focus. Could they start to take their eye off the league just a little bit in these games to come? Because looking at the remaining fixtures here of the two teams, Real Madrid will actually play away at Real Sociedad before their first leg against Bayern. So that certainly there is going to be a tricky game for them. That's going to be maybe the one that tells us if there is or isn't going to be a title race this season. They play Cadiz ahead of the second leg, and they've still got to go and play Villarreal and Betis as well. Barca, though, have Valencia, we have Girona, we also have Real Sociedad and Sevilla as well. So Barca certainly have some tricky games to come, and we're only going to find out really in this game here, are we still alive? Is our season still alive? Because obviously if we don't win here, honestly guys, the curtains come down. The season is done. This is it for us. We have to win to keep any hope at all alive. Because then we do move on to this Gundogan Araujo situation right now. It's like I say, the media has really latched onto that's what happens after big match defeats. The media are going to be looking for something, and this situation right here has proved to be it. Because after the game against PSG, Gundogan did come straight out, publicly criticised Araujo for his mistake in the game. He ultimately said, look, that did cost us. It was a silly challenge to make there. I really wouldn't have made it myself. And then off the back of that, Araujo spoke himself publicly and did seem a bit frustrated that Gundogan had chosen to do that after the game and fully in the public domain. Now, the first thing that I'd say is that Xavi is the head coach of the club. His philosophy has always been to protect the players. Certainly there in public, you will never ever see him, very rarely, blame his players. You know, even after the PSG game there, all Xavi wanted to talk about was the referee. He blamed him pretty much solely for the defeat, and we've seen this many, many times before. Xavi looks to shield the players there. He likes to do things behind the scenes and not in the public eye. But let's also be clear here, the players can be overprotected. You know, you can sort of baby them a bit too much at times, and that won't help either. Because yes, we want the squad to be united, yes, we want everybody to be getting along well, you know, we don't want to hurt anybody's feeling, but the best teams don't operate in that way. If you want to be the best, if you want to be challenging, if you want to learn and constantly keep improving, sometimes you need a bit of honesty. We say it here on the channel, at times you need to point things out in order to progress. So I don't think here that we can constantly baby this squad and not hurt anyone's feelings and just worry about what's being said and where. If something needs to be said, let's say it, and then let's act upon that. But in the same way, I would also say here, I think everybody in the squad has got to take some ownership, has got to take some responsibility, because there's also no excuse here to all be hiding behind Araujo, just saying, look, oh, it's all about his mistake, it's all on him, none of us have got to do better. That's not the case either, because looking at this game right here, guys, and looking at the league table, we're 8 points behind our biggest rivals in the league. That's unacceptable, and for that reason, every single player this season could have done more, could have done better. So everybody here has no excuses. You've got to look at yourself, you've got to take some ownership and ask yourself, what can I do more? What can I do better? And then it's about doing it. It's not just about talking, it's not just about pointing things out, it is about action, and we have the perfect chance here on Sunday to respond and do it together in a positive manner. Because in terms of the starting lineup in this game, guys, looking here at Xavi and what he could choose, what I'm honestly expecting is not a great deal of change from the PSG game, because obviously after a big defeat it's natural to say, oh well, let's get everybody out, let's really change things drastically and all of this kind of stuff. But let's remember, at 11 versus 11 in that game, we were playing incredibly well again. You know, the form was continuing, we were looking very, very strong. That's why it makes it all the more frustrating that we weren't able to keep those 11 men out there. So I don't think here we're going to see drastic change from Xavi. I think the back line should stay the same. I think Araujo should play. You know, I think I would leave him in there, and I would say go out there and try and make amends here. Put in a strong performance, go head-to-head against Real Madrid, and ultimately show us what you are made of. And Cancelo certainly as well needs an improved performance this weekend. I think the big change in midfield is obviously going to be Christensen coming back in. That is absolutely massive there for the defensive solidity of our team. We spoke before, Frenkie de Jong cannot do that role. He is not able to do it, and certainly there, Christensen will be a big, big inclusion. And then along the front line, I would expect it to be Lamine Yamal. He unfortunately had to be withdrawn against PSG. Rafinha is playing brilliantly right now, and then I would expect it to be Robert Lewandowski, even though, again, he did not show all that much against PSG, because also, guys, what I don't really expect at this point in the season, and at this point really in Xavi's career at Barca, I don't think we're going to see him doing anything too radical, anything too crazy. For instance, Vitor Roque starting in a Clasico, I just can't see that under Xavi right now. In his mind, he's only got a few more games here. He's now seeing out his time. He's sort of playing things safe in some ways, maybe. I don't expect him to mess around too much with this team. And if we play like we have been, if we're able to arrive and play like we were in the early stages of that game against PSG, this team can get the job done. Because when we are looking at the predictions here, guys, it is safe to say there is not a lot of optimism when it comes to Barca, because just a few days ago, when we were looking at the predictions ahead of PSG, everybody was feeling great, was feeling very, very confident. Since then, a lot has gone on, and quite clearly, people are believing here that Real Madrid are not only going to win this game, but maybe even win it well. Now, what I would say is, if we keep the same mentality that we did after Araujo's red, if our heads go down, if we're feeling sorry for ourselves, if we're trying to blame somebody here, there and everywhere, by the way, we'll get smashed in this game. If we have that same defeatist approach, they'll probably score 4 again. It'll be the Super Cup in January all over again if our heads are still down. But let me just say this as well. If they're not, if we're able here to bounce back, we've shown it a few times this season. We showed it there in the first leg against PSG with the way we're able to respond in some ways. If we can get our heads back up, return to what we were doing just a few days ago before everything unravelled, we can win this game. We are able, we've got the quality, we've got the talent, we've got the team to beat Real Madrid. And if we're able to respond, I go with a 2-1 Barca win. I think we could actually win this, but if our heads are down, if we do not arrive into this game with the right attitude, we will get destroyed and it will be embarrassing for us. So this game, guys, could go one of two ways. Can we keep our season alive? Can we keep some optimism somewhere in this team right now? Do let me know your predictions in the comments down below. What are you expecting from Barca? What's the score going to be? What changes would you make to the lineup? Would you do anything drastic coming into this game? And I'm just interested to see how this plays out. I want us to respond. I want to see us hit back. But will we do it? Only time will tell, and we will learn a lot more after this Barca performance. I will see you guys for the match review. Thank you indeed for watching, even during difficult moments. But until next time, as always, Visca, Barca.